Welcome back, everybody, to the Nosebleeds podcast. I'm Chris Witt, and with me, as always, is Mr. Adam Schmidt. Adam, how are you today, sir?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Man, I'll tell you what, if I was any better, I would be you.
Okay. Uh, Question for you. Did you
Mm-hmm.
guys go 3-1 this weekend?
Oh,
Baseball?
yeah, baby. 3-1. We were in the semifinals, winning in the semifinals, couldn't get to 4 innings. And because we didn't make it to 4 innings before the lightning and rain started, and then so there were 3 teams left at the time. So the first semifinal game was over. We were the second semifinal game. The 1 seed moved on. They already won. We were playing the 2 seed, and we were beating them. And rain came, so the championship rings, go to the top 2 seeds left, 1 and 2. We were the 4 seed.
So this was a tournament?
That was a tournament.
Huh.
Yep.
That was on Game Changer.
Yeah, because I loaded it a week before, 2 weeks before. Like I'll have my next tournament. I'll
Okay.
have it on Friday this week for the weekend after. I'll have the first 2 games.
I see.
And then I know I'm playing Sunday, so I'll put one to be determined game on Sunday. So it just depends on when they put the schedule out. Depends on the schedule, man. All
Right on.
depends on the schedule.
Okay.
So yeah.
Well, good job on your 3-1.
Yeah,
I mean,
three
you
and one.
guys have really turned it around,
I'm gonna tell you,
after the first couple weeks.
probably coached in probably the most fun game I've ever coached in my life. Imagine that your headphones don't work.
Nope.
In the most fun game I've ever been a part of.
Wow.
1-1. So we score one in the top of the first.
Okay.
They score one in the bottom of the first. 1-1, bottom of the 6th inning.
Whoa.
Okay. I mean, we got 2 guys on the mound. They're both dealing, right? We each got a guy out there just pumping strikes, playing great. Gets the pitch count, take him out for the 6th. Okay. Brought in a reliever, hits the first batter. Okay. Then he steals second. I think somehow we got an out. So there's 1 out. Guy steals third, 1 out, man on third. Okay. Bottom of the 6th inning. I have lost to this team in the exact same fashion before, but this is 1-1. What a game, right?
Yeah.
Bring the infield in. Okay. I'm contemplating, do I walk a guy? Do I not? I'm like, nope, just bring the infield in. I said, I do not care if the guy gets to first base. That doesn't matter. Look that guy back. Make sure he doesn't get home. That can't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Brought the outfield in. 3-0 count. Kid swings the bat. Pops up to my third baseman. 2 outs. Next play, ground ball to the pitcher. Inning over.
Wow.
Top of the 7th. We unload for 5 runs.
Hey.
Hold them, and we win 6-0.
Wow.
Or 6-1.
6-1.
6-1. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Dude, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
And it was against the biggest rival, right? Like West. So Jaeger and West Stars, right? That's like the 2 West Side teams, the big names on the West Side. There's other teams, but those are like the 2 big names on the West Side. And yeah, it was a ton of fun. Their coach is awesome. We get along great. This is the guy we do the Mother's Day game with.
Yeah.
Have the big cookout afterwards. The kids on the team together go out and play afterwards. And so really good, competitive, awesome, fun ball game.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
Great game.
Very good.
Great game.
I mean, that kicks off an episode that is full of baseball.
Yes. Lots of baseball.
A lot of baseball today.
Lots of baseball. A little bit of everything. We got a lot of stuff here.
Yeah.
So
Congratulations to the Celtics, Eastern Conference champions. They're awaiting the winner of the Dallas and Minnesota series, and Dallas was up 3-0. Minnesota won game 4. Now, game 5, we're basically kind of waiting. I still believe Minnesota could come back and win the series, but basically,
do you know
Oh,
how many
yeah.
times? Do you know how many times in the NBA in a 7-game series a team has came back from 3-0?
it's 0.
It's 0.
Yeah.
Now, it was 0 when Boston did it to the Yankees, when the Red Sox did it to the Yankees in 98, not
Oh
98,
four.
oh 04. Yeah,
Yeah.
oh 04. In oh 04.
Yeah.
That's
Mm.
all. I mean, it could happen, but uh they had to have Carl Anthony Towns have a phenomenal game. They had to have a 3 for 36 night from the duo of Luca and Kyrie. I hate to say this, but Dallas is going to win this. All right?
Yeah.
Dallas is going to win this.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
So that's going to be interesting to see, fun to see. I'll go ahead and say it, Dallas versus Boston. And if it's not, kudos to Minnesota. I really like that team. It's just,
Mhm.
I'm not going to count them out yet. I'm not going to do that.
Yep.
When they lose, we'll count it out.
Best defense in the NBA all year.
Yeah.
So, a
They
team
can,
like that is
yep.
very capable.
Speaking of the Celtics,
Mhm.
sixth man of the year, 1986,
That's right.
I want to say.
Mhm.
Bill Walton, dearly departed.
That's right.
We have a dearly departed segment. Unfortunately, uh, one of the greats
Yeah.
is gone.
Yep. 71 years old.
Battling cancer. Didn't know he was battling cancer.
Yeah, I didn't I feel like it was one of those things that you hear so and so, is battling cancer, and then a year or two later you're like, "Oh, either I forgot about that, or I didn't, or I never knew."
I feel like he was still doing games.
He was.
Like you didn't even wouldn't I wouldn't have noticed it. I mean, he looked like he was 71. He was 7 foot and 71. That's an
Mm.
awkward
Yeah.
man, right? Like look at
Right.
Kareem. Kareem is a weird looking dude now.
Sure. Yep.
But yeah, man, sad. And I'm gonna tell you, what's your what's your favorite Bill Walton? So we didn't get to see him in college. We didn't really get to see him in the well, we didn't get to see him in the NBA. But you've seen plenty of video. You know the highlights. You know everything, all the stats. What's your favorite Bill Walton? Is it college Bill Walton,
Mm.
UCLA, two-time national champion?
Yeah.
Is it two-time NBA champion Bill Walton, with mostly known for his time with the Trailblazers,
Right.
a little bit with the Celtics, and I think he played for like three other teams as well.
Mhm. The San Diego Clippers.
San Diego Clippers. There you go. Didn't even know they were there. Or is it NBA game calling Bill Walton? Is it college Pac-10, Pac-12 game calling Bill Walton? What's your favorite Bill Walton?
I would say if we break it down, player got to be UCLA.
Yeah,
A lot of people say that he and Kareem are still the greatest college basketball players of all time.
sure. Him, Kareem, because of that streak, right? And he was on the team that lost to Notre Dame, wasn't he?
Was he? I don't remember, to be honest.
Either way, it doesn't matter.
He was the national player of the year, and they won a championship, at least one there, when they went undefeated for the year.
So he was undefeated all the way through high school.
As he got into the NBA, his body fell apart
Mm-hmm.
basically, and I mean, he would have been. Still, people consider him like one of the great players of all time, and he is one of the top 50 and one of the top 75. Um, but he battled injuries so much during his career. He could have been a lot better, I think.
I watched some video. I didn't realize he was a very explosive jumper. Like
Mhm.
his head is by the rim constantly, and you see him get these rebounds. And he was more like he's not like a kind of you think just big, slow, big man. He actually had some. He was pretty explosive, off 2 feet.
He was a lean guy. He wasn't,
Yeah.
he was he had a little muscle and stuff, and yeah, you're right. So he was a good athlete. And then post basketball, you know, a lot of people have been saying this, and it's definitely true for me. So many people would stay up for boring Pac-12 games that start at 11 o'clock at night
just to
just
listen
to
to him
listen to
and
Bill Walton because he's
Dan Schulman, right? Isn't that who did it with him?
Dan Pash, I think it
Oh,
was.
Pash.
Yeah,
Schulman's a baseball.
Dan.
Schulman's a baseball guy,
He does. Schulman did both.
but that's how I know him.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. I
whatever
think
the
it's
guy's
Dan
name is,
Pash.
whatever his name is, those two together were amazing.
Yeah,
Like there were times where he would just like he'd be like this guy, like he would talk to Bill Walton like you're an idiot.
yeah.
And Bill Walton would talk to him like, I don't care what you think. This is who I am and this is what I think. And they would go back and forth. Just so much fun. And they're great friends, of course. And they had such great chemistry. And I loved every second of it. That college, and I didn't see a lot of it. But if you did turn it on and he was going, you could always count on him telling a story about the Grateful Dead or something like
Oh
that
yeah.
in the middle of the game. Love all that.
Some great, I mean, just some great, that's, hate to say it, but I always say it. I feel like is every time like a celebrity dies, especially like an athlete or something, the social media, like, and I'll especially go to Twitter,
You do. You
all
always say
the,
Twitter is so
all
good.
the stuff that comes out, all the
Yeah.
stories and all the interviews and all people talking about him. And it's so much fun. And Bill Walton, there's nobody better to hear stories from and about.
He could talk, man. He
Man.
could talk.
And he couldn't talk originally. He had to overcome like a really severe stuttering problem.
Really?
When yeah, he had to do that in order to be able to be on call NBA games and college games and stuff.
Wow. Good for
Yeah.
him. That's cool.
So anyway, yeah, and he was just fascinating because he would,
Say the crate. You don't even know. I wouldn't even know he was talking about it.
yeah,
It's the day that if you're not resting in the day, and then the peace of the life goes to the clouds. And if you're the clouds, then you're the moon. And when you're the moon, you're happy.
yeah,
Like, what did he
yeah.
just say?
I just said I just said USC's 3 for 14 from the field. What do you Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, just unbelievable. Maybe my favorite story was when he was at UCLA and he came in after the offseason or whatever with a beard and
Hmm.
shaggy hair and John Wooden, the great John Wooden said, "Bill, you know our policy here. Clean shaven, clean cut, shorter hair." And he said, I believe I have the right to wear my hair and grow facial hair if I want to, coach. And he said, you're absolutely right, Bill. You do have that right. And we're really gonna miss you.
Yep.
And then Bill Walton says,
Didn't he
I
leave?
he left, he rode his bike. He said he rode all the way back to his room and as fast as he could, shaved and or no, he said he went to the barber shop
Oh, is that what he
and
did?
he got he got cut real short. There's a picture of him
Yeah.
in that year with a media photo or whatever, and it's his hair's real short and he's clean shaven. Apparently, it happened right after that or right before that. But just yeah, that and he told big long story about taking all the Celtics except for Danny Ainge to the Grateful Dead concert. Robert
Why?
Parrish
Why?
told part of that story
Why
too.
no Danny Ainge? Do they not like each other?
No, Bill Walton says
Oh,
Danny Ainge's wife did not let him go.
that's right. Because Danny Ainge wasn't Danny Ainge BYU guy?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's BYU guy. So that
Mormon, I guess,
yeah,
or
yeah, they're not into yeah, they
partially, yeah.
probably aren't allowed to listen to music.
Right.
Is
Yeah.
that an electric guitar? No, I don't think so.
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa.
Careful now. I have two
Jeez.
wives.
I'd consider that a nude guitar.
Yeah.
Electric. Jeez.
BYU.
Disgusting.
They are something else. I remember when a kid got kicked out of BYU because if they found out that he had relations with his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. That was their second best player when Jimmer Fredette
Yes,
was
when
there.
Jimmer Fredette was there.
Yeah.
First off, how like who told that to somebody?
I think he did. I
Like
think he
he
came
felt bad
forward.
about it?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that was the story.
Man,
Yeah.
here's your penance. Wow, I couldn't find Jennifer. That was first off, and you're out the mute. Man, my watch is talking. So anyway,
Yeah.
yeah,
Lot of great stories about Bill Walton. Very sad that he passed. And
says he went to 1,000 Grateful Dead concerts.
yeah. Yep. Because he talked about it all the time. When he was telling that story about taking the Celtics, he said he has another one. He said that he called the guy, he knew them all by first name and
Yeah,
everything, and he called one of them and said, "Hey, I'm coming to the show," because he had like I think he had like a pass automatically to every single show or something.
sure.
It sounded like so. He said, "Hey, I want to bring my teammates. Can I do that?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And he's like, "But we can't sit like just with everybody. This is the show in Boston, and the Celtics are going to be there." So
Yeah,
they had like a he said they had like a little thing built off to the side of the stage just for them,
just for them.
for them to sit in, so they could see the show kind of from the side of the stage and nobody else could see them. So anyway, he told that story. Rick Carlisle, Pacers head coach, who was on that '86 Celtics team, um, told the story about he started dating his wife, his now wife, just started dating her and wanted to take her to the Grateful Dead concert. So he called Bill Walton
Yeah,
and he said, "Bill, can you help me? I got this girl. I think she's really great. We just started dating. I want to take her to the show." He said, "I'll tell you what, go to the back and go to this door around to this dock or whatever and knock on the door and ask for this specific guy." So he says he pulls up to the loading dock and he tells his wife, "Wait here for a minute." He goes up to the door and he talks to this guy for a minute and he comes back with two like VIP like
yeah.
backstage passes that say Bill Walton and Bill Walton's wife's name. And so that's who they were
That's
that night. And he said it was awesome and he ended up marrying his wife, and so he thanks Bill Walton for that.
that's cool, man.
Yeah. So anyway, lots of stories we could go on and on, but we've got a lot of baseball to get to. But our rest in weirdness, Bill Walton,
That's no
and
joke.
peace and peace. I
Yeah,
mean, he's out there. He's way out there,
he's way out there.
but
Way out there.
so much fun to listen
Yep.
to.
All right, there you go. Yes. What's next on the list? I can't hardly talk.
We got to talk about. I think first we go into today, starting today as we record, which is Wednesday, May 29th. Major League Baseball has incorporated the statistics from the Negro League uh, into their all-time stats. So, and it's not. There's no asterisk. There's no. There's nothing to separate them. All of the stats from the Negro Leagues get put in order with Major League Baseball stats all time. So Josh Gibson is, one of the biggest names, of course, from the Negro Leagues, and he is now the career leader, Major League Baseball career leader in career batting average, career slugging percentage, and career on base plus slugging. Um, he's up there in a few other categories too. There are a couple, Satchel Paige, a couple pitchers. A couple of the best pitchers are now, their wins and their ERA. I think there was a
Strikeouts and all that.
yeah, there was somebody in like 1941 who had like a 101 ERA for the year or something, and so that is like second all time
Mm,
for a starting pitcher single season ERA. Um, so
that's
there's
insane.
all these guys, and from what I understand, guys like Hank Aaron and Willie Mays that played some in the Negro Leagues before they got to
Did
Major
they
League
get some of
Baseball.
their
I
stats?
believe their stats get
Wow.
added.
So that totally messes with our whole, like your numbers the big numbers that you remember, like Hank Aaron's home run record. And
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, that's true. I didn't really even hear, from what I understand, that's the case, but I didn't hear anybody talk about what Hank Aaron's home run total is now.
Well, let's look up. I'm on baseball reference right now. We can
Yeah,
look
see what's
up
there.
Hammering Hank Aaron, and you can look and see on baseballreference.com what his total home runs are.
So
Are you
in Major
interested?
League in Major
They
League
still have
Baseball,
755.
so
So this is on baseball reference. I wonder if they've all been added. Did he ever hit a home run?
I mean, you would think, but I don't know. I don't know how many years he played.
755. They've got him
I could be
54.
wrong, but I have to assume because here's the thing. We're going to talk about a couple specific things here, and
Milwaukee,
one is,
Milwaukee, Milwaukee. Yeah, it's only got him as Milwaukee and Atlanta,
huh? All right.
and
Well,
then
maybe
Milwaukee in the end.
maybe on Major League Baseball's site they're
Yeah,
you got
maybe I
to
have to
dig a
go.
little bit
Maybe
to.
maybe I'm gonna have to
But
figure out where they're at.
anyway, so yeah, there is no distinction between what league they were in at the time, apparently. Um, and so one of the things is for the last 2 or 3 years, they had a committee of whatever it was, 30 people or something like that, 35 people or something, that helped compile all these statistics from the Negro Leagues, which was from 1920 to 1948. So 29 years, but in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, when I don't think they had video. Um,
No, you got to go all. They've got to find.
Documentation.
Yeah,
They've got to find documents,
yeah.
score books or
Score
whatever,
books. Well,
score
yeah.
sheets. Um, I mean, is it possible to find all of the statistics from all of the games played in that league?
I mean, I'm sure. I don't know.
They had
And then they got to like double check things, right? Like, what is this game from? You know what I mean? Make sure, what did, maybe the St. Louis, what were they, the Blue, what were they, the St. Louis Blues? That's a hockey. But Chicago's playing St. Louis, and, maybe Chicago's got an error for old boy, and St. Louis has got a hit for old boy.
yeah, yep, that's true. So yeah, there are a lot of question marks for me. Number one, how did you find all of this information? Is it a case where you just spent so much time digging for as much information as you can about every game you could find, and maybe you don't have them all, but whatever you found,
Yeah,
now's the time. We've done everything we can
I
do.
agree. I'm fine with that.
Are you good with that?
I'm totally good with that. You know what? Those guys, they played in just as good a league. That was a very super competitive league. There were some of the greatest baseball players ever came out of the Negro Leagues. I'm 100% fine with just saying, this is what we found. And I'm sure I bet they're missing if they're missing games, it ain't many. I
Think so?
bet those stats, those newspaper articles, those a lot of that stuff is out there still. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just about, doing the right digging, finding the right people and figuring it out. I mean, those newspapers, there was newspapers that were printed specifically for black people back then,
Mhm.
and just like everything else, there was a black and white water fountain, there's black and white newspaper, right? So
Mhm.
black and white newspaper.
Yeah,
They're all black and
that's
white,
all
I
they
guess,
were
weren't they?
then.
But anyway,
Yeah.
so I'm sure you can go back and, if they have archives, I'm sure they have archives just like anybody else kept archives.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's hard because we don't know. We weren't around for any of that. I'm sure the Negro League Museum in Kansas City did a ton of work
Hmm.
to help them out with that. Um, but there were, I mean, the people that are looking for that information are mostly CC Sabathia was on that thing. Like he was a Major League Baseball player. I mean,
That doesn't mean anything. I don't care who you got, as long as it's somebody who's going to dedicate the time and effort to do it. I mean, who are you going to find right now that, like, okay, I trust that they're doing it? Like, what, just because Buster Only wasn't on the panel? I don't care who it is, as long as
oh
they
yeah.
dedicated their time and effort into finding factual evidence.
Yeah.
I've got no problem with who was on it, because you're not going to go get a guy from the Negro Leagues and put him on there. First off, they're going to be so old that they aren't going to be able to really do much to help you. So,
Well, I mean, those are the guys you have to have first.
sure, but how many are left? Six?
No, I think there are like three,
Okay.
something like
So
that
there's
left
three. Okay. Put
out of
them
like
on there.
2,300
They're just
players.
telling stories. They're sitting at every board meeting telling stories, the same stories you've heard 100 times from this 90-year-old dude. And you're like,
Sure.
I know Satchel Paige had a pitch that he threw behind his back, and it twisted around the guy's head and came through the strike zone. I know
Yeah.
he could do things with the ball nobody could do.
Yeah.
And it's like
And 80 years ago, how good's your memory going to be? Yeah.
100%.
Um,
So I'm totally fine. I don't care if it's CC
yeah,
Sabathia or if it's my sister.
you
As
gotta
long
have,
as you're going to dedicate your time and effort to the correct things in the correct places to find the information, I'm totally fine with whoever's on it.
Melinda would have been good on that committee, but
Yeah.
I, 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 I don't know, man. It's hard to, so here's the other thing too. obviously on paper, great idea because they should have been able to play together. They couldn't then. It was, Major League Baseball didn't allow it. So, um, but there still were two separate leagues.
Yes.
It's it's hard for me to totally.
Yeah, that's the part that sucks, right? I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah.
They were two separate leagues. They never played against each other, right?
How
So,
do you combine
so,
stats?
so that, like Babe Ruth and these guys, they never played against black guys. And, Josh Gibson and those guys never played against the likes of the best white guys, right?
Ruth
So
and
they
Gehrig and
neither
yeah.
of them played the best of either,
Mhm.
right? They all played really great competition. Both leagues were incredible
The best of the
competition.
white
The
guys and the best of the black guys.
exactly.
Yeah. Mhm.
Uh so when you go back and think about it, like to me, this is something that doesn't bother me just because, you know, if we can find more ways to figure out how to get things closer, that's fine. Yes, they were two totally different leagues. The thing that makes it hard is how many games were played in each league. How
Yeah.
many, how that's a big part, right? We talk about that right now with Major League Baseball and NBA. And the NBA, up at what are they at 82 games now?
Mhm.
And, people saying like there's NBA players that say we should just be playing 65 games.
Mhm.
And Major League Baseball players that want to play probably less. And you got football players that, they're increasing theirs up to 18 weeks, 17 games, 18 weeks.
Yeah.
It's just more and more. So there's a difference, but it's the same thing as that, right?
Mhm.
Like back then they played 120 baseball games. Now they play 162. We still count those records in with, right?
Mhm.
So if it's things like that that can get to you, that changes throughout time anyway. So I'm okay with it.
But those changes are within a league. You know,
Sure.
it's to
They're
to
playing the same rules.
to me.
Or then
You assume. I mean, but also
I mean,
it's
we
like
had a league that we had at one point in time, Major League Baseball had two different leagues that played different rules. One had a designated hitter, one
right,
did not. I mean, there's a lot of things that go. I mean,
right. I mean, and that
that's
has
within the same league having different rules.
sure. Um, it's just still weird. It's like if the NBA said, "Well, from now on, we
All the
accept all
ABA
the
records.
yeah, all the
So
ABA
why not?
stats."
I'd have no problem if they did that. Would you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different league. They didn't play
Mhm.
against each other.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
There are ABA records and stats, and there are NBA records and stats.
And I get,
You can say like, especially in the '70s, you a lot of people said there were ABA teams that were way better than NBA teams, and it was a better league for a little while. It was definitely a more exciting league for a
Mhm.
while. So it's not to say that one league in either situation is better than the other. It's just there were two separate leagues.
Yeah.
That's
How many points would Dr. J have if you combine leagues,
right.
right? Like, who knows where he'd be?
Yeah, there are a bunch of great
So
NBA players that
I,
either didn't play or only played some of the time in the NBA. It just doesn't that's the hard part for me is
I'll tell
because
you this. Here's how I'm going to tell it. Here's how I feel. If you put the ABA and the NBA together, it wouldn't bother me because I feel like they were the two professional leagues at the time that eventually joined together anyway. They eventually joined in
well, the
Negro
ABA
leagues,
dissolved.
whatever but they brought over how many teams, right?
Mhm.
Like, I mean, you call it dissolving, but they combined. They combined. Like the league might have dissolved, but the players they increased the teams in the NBA with teams from the ABA.
Mhm.
To me, that's combining. You can call it dissolve. They lost teams. I get it, but
Yeah.
they somewhat combined. I mean, and same with the Negro leagues. Once Jackie Robinson comes in, it's like, oh, now they're all starting. Now more and more black people were able to start playing and play. And eventually the Negro leagues go down because of it. But all the best black players are now playing in Major League Baseball. So it basically dissolved. So I'm dude, I'm not gonna lie to you. I if you kept them separate, I would be totally cool and be like, you know what? It's a way to remember this as two state because they were two separate identities. But if you combine them, you know what? It. I used to be such a big baseball stat guy, and I don't know why it just doesn't bother me. And I feel the exact same way about the ABA and the NBA.
Hmm.
You want to keep them separate? Cool. Keep them separate. They're two separate identities. If you want to put them together, cool. They ended up joining anyway. Go ahead, put them together. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's tough. You're struggling with it.
Yeah.
So I used to be a huge stat guy.
Mhm.
Baseball stats were my life. Like I had books.
Oh, I
The
know.
only books I ever read were baseball books about stats and things like that. Like, you know, ridiculous.
Mhm.
Like Tris Speaker at one point in time was my favorite player because of all the ridiculous thing. He still holds the record for the most unassisted triple plays, and it's like 18. Like that's insane. That's stupid,
Yeah, that's
right?
crazy.
Like he's a center fielder. How do you get 18 unassisted triple plays?
Yeah.
So there were like I was addicted to those statistical things. I loved them. They were insane. I don't know. I'm just getting older, man. Getting older.
Hmm.
And it doesn't mean I'm the opposite of Buster Only and what's the last guy talks like this? Tim
Tim Kurkjian.
Kirchin. Tim Kirchin. I'm
Hmm.
the opposite of those guys. The older they get, the crazier they are about stats. And the younger I was, the more crazy I was about stats.
Yeah, I feel like I'm the same way. It just
Still
it kind
doesn't.
of doesn't make
It
sense
doesn't
to
feel right.
me.
It doesn't
Yeah.
feel right.
Man. I mean, it would make sense to me for Major League Baseball to take those stats and like add them to their records, like but say these are the Negro League stats, these were the Major League Baseball League stats, Major League Baseball League. These are the Major League Baseball stats. um, and here they are. Here they both are. But but it was a different league, you know, it was just a different,
Oh, I'm okay. Like
you know what I
here's
mean?
AAA stat. Here's your stats in AAA. Here's your stats in AA. Here's your stats in Major League Baseball.
Mhm.
Not saying that that the Negro Leagues was like AA or AAA
No, no,
because
no.
there were plenty of Negro League teams that could walk all over any Major League team.
Mhm.
But what I'm saying is say just keep it as a separate stat.
Yeah. Yeah. You can
That's what you're
put
saying.
it on the Major League website, put it in
Mhm.
their Hall of Fame, uh, do all that. And like, because it's a bigger promotion for those players in that league.
So back in the day, they used to always say that Josh Gibson hit like 78 home runs one year or something like that. What was his long? Did they come out and say what his?
So I saw something where I always heard people said Josh Gibson hit 800 or more home runs in his career. And the they came up with like 160 something home runs for him. That's what I read. I can't remember the exact number, but it's less than 200 home runs. And that to me is where, how can all these people for all these years say Josh Gibson had to have hit more home runs than any player to ever play the game? And in this research, they came up with 160 something home runs for Josh Gibson in his career. That to me, that is where the credibility starts to slide a little bit. And where did you get all your information? How much, how many games did you have? Could you
Major
have
League Baseball is
possibly?
not putting this on their website and is not adding this in if they didn't 100% believe in
Yeah,
every single thing that gets put on there.
right. But like we already talked about,
So
did
to
you?
me, that's the credibility of word of mouth, right? That's like, well, Babe Ruth had 13 hot dogs and then he walked out and hit 27 home runs. And everybody's like, dude, Babe Ruth was the most fit man in the world until like his last 3 years of playing baseball. Before that, he was incredibly fit and the most athletic person you've ever seen.
I I'm with you on that.
But it's word that's
Too
just
big.
stuff.
That's too big a discrepancy, though. It can't be 160 or 800. There can't be. You can't have all these players who played with him and say the guy hit 3 home runs a game every game he played.
Well, I mean, come on.
You can't you can't say that for all these years and then come up with 160 something home runs. I just don't understand that specifically. I don't have anything else to go on for the rest of the stats, but So I believe them.
Yeah.
But
166 home runs,
there you go.
373 batting average, 808 hits. So that's not, I mean, 2,000 at bats.
Yeah. Is this that's on Baseball
Baseball.
Reference?
Yeah.
So they have that on there, but not the additions of Hank Aaron's, not the
No.
addition of Hank Aaron's other stats.
So home runs for Josh Gibson, they have 18, 15, 10, 18, 20, 13, 11. The most games he ever played in a season was 68.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
there's your
they played way
difference
less
right there.
games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's your difference right there. In 39 games, he had 20 home runs in 1937. So yeah, I bet it did feel like he should have 800 home runs because he was hitting a home run. He was hitting almost a home run a game. So yeah, I bet it did feel like he should have 800, but he only played 70 games a year. So it doesn't feel right.
Maybe they're including like every, probably a lot of those guys played
They probably played a ton of
other,
exhibition games
yeah, yeah.
and
All the
yeah,
barnstorming, like all the travel they did, that a big part of that was part of the Negro Leagues, but
yeah.
I'm sure they played with other teams and stuff when the league wasn't happening in the off season. But so maybe people who played with him everywhere said total he's probably hit that many, but it's just very strange to hear that for so long that he would
So I
be
think
the
that's
home
why
run
you
champ.
take into consideration the slugging percentage, on base percentage, all that stuff, right? Like I want to know home runs per at bat. Where does he stand on home runs per at bat? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's where I would say, okay, that's like we got to rank all his stuff on. You can't rank any of his totals if he never played more than 68 games. And
But
most of those were 35 and 40 for a year.
yet he is now recognized as the all-time
Yeah. Okay.
average
So
leader in
Barry Bonds
slugging.
is recognized as the single season home run holder. Do you know how many home runs he hit?
73.
I thought it was 74, so I don't even know. 78? I don't know.
No,
I
I
have
think it
no
was
idea.
73.
What was it before that? What did he beat?
71, 70, 70, I think. I think McGuire hit 70 once.
Again, I have no idea, but I can tell you exactly how many Roger Maris had.
Sure. There's a movie about it and it matched the year.
Yeah.
That's easy. Um,
And it was around for 38 years
mhm,
before it got broken.
yeah. Yeah. I don't know. There are just question marks for me on this. It's a very, very nice idea, and it's a great thing for Major League Baseball to do, the idea of it. Um, but it's just there's just so much that doesn't make sense because
Look, man, you
how
gotta you
do you
gotta be.
have all of this? Do you have all of the stats? Are you positive you have all of the stats? I'd be surprised. And also they weren't playing in the league they weren't playing in your league. It's you know,
I know.
I
I hear you.
I don't know.
It's tough. It's tough. It's a hard jive to pill, a hard candy to
Hard
swallow.
drive to short, yeah. Um, I that's one of the things that I would love to do is go to Kansas City and go to the museum.
Oh yeah,
Um, and I will one day because I'll just make a baseball trip of it and go to the Royals Stadium and all that. But
and it's not far from
St. Louis,
St.
probably.
Louis either.
Yeah. Yep. That'd be a good trip. Um, when your kids are grown, we're gonna go.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Aaron was just talking yesterday about she wants to start taking the kids one time every summer to a different stadium.
Very nice.
Go to a different stadium
That'd
every
be
year,
good.
take all the kids. I think that'd be a blast.
That would be cool. Yep. Yeah, and you can knock in some cases like that, you can knock
Yep.
two of them out
Go knock
in
two of
two
them out.
days or
Yep.
whatever. Yep.
Yep. Go
That's
to
good.
LA and go over to San Francisco and go to, I don't know how close Anaheim is or
That's
wherever that
LA.
place is at.
There's
Is
two
it?
in LA.
There you
Yeah.
go. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. That would be cool. Okay. Well, just an interesting topic. It's there will be more. I don't know. I don't know how long it'll stay in the media, but I think
I'm
we'll hear
interested
more
to
about
hear how this all how people take it.
it. Mhm.
not just. I'm interested to hear how like how the what the majority feel is towards it, especially for former Major League Baseball players.
That's what I was gonna ask. You mean fans or
No,
like older
I'm
Hall of
talking
Famers,
about
like
Hall of
veterans?
Famers, veterans, people like that.
Yeah.
There's going to be somebody who had a record who got knocked down the pedestal on the record book, and they're going to be like, "Yo, this is baloney, bro.
Yeah.
That dude didn't do nothing."
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be interesting. Anyway, um, there's another, oh, real quick, current current players, top three player probably in baseball, Ronald Acuna Jr.
Hmm.
now has a torn ACL. We were talking the other day. I think this is the second one, if I remember right, but um, out for the year. They played about a third, I think, of the season so far.
An electric baseball player, just an absolute stud.
Yeah.
And to lose 2 years of your prime
Yeah.
for this, he played all of last year, or maybe he came in part of the way through
I feel
last
like he
year
missed time.
and was unbelievable last year
Yeah.
and was unbelievable a couple years ago.
Mhm.
COVID year. That dude was, remember the whole thing with Freddie Freeman? He was so that, when they
Yeah.
got in trouble for wearing his sunglasses over top of his hat and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But it's like, the dude is electric.
Great player. Great player.
Unbelievable player.
Gonna miss the rest of the year. Um, and then have to come back from an ACL. So we'll see how that goes. Um, moving on though to
Moving on. Come on, Adam. Keep us moving here.
the greatest major league umpire to ever.
I thought Joe West already retired.
He did already retire, and joining him now in retirement is the next most disliked
So here's my,
umpire ever.
do you know the name of any umpire right now anymore? I mean, Joe West
Yeah.
and Angel Hernandez were the only ones I know.
Well, because people have already said like now the next worst guy is CV Buckner.
Oh,
Right.
Buckner. Yeah, Buckner's
He's
bad.
still around. He's
Yeah.
he's getting up there too, but he's been around a long time.
Apparently, so Angel Hernandez hasn't done a game in a month.
Right. I didn't
Um,
realize that.
and his manager or attorney, I think it was his attorney, came out and said he was not forced into retirement, even though he hasn't done a game in a month.
He's got to hear all this. Even if he's not on social media.
His whole life, for the last 30 years, he's heard this.
From
What do you
players
mean?
in real time. Yes.
And from everywhere. When that dude goes to dinner, he hears about it. He knows who he is. He knows exactly who he is. Joe West knew exactly who he was.
Mhm.
They know who they are. It's like, oh, wait, I suck. You're not letting me do games anymore. No, Angel Hernandez has always sucked.
Yeah. Um, another thing.
I watched him throw a guy out. Oh, they have some videos. They got some videos.
That's what I was gonna say. Going through the archives, going through all the everybody posts, reposts, all the old funniest worst calls.
Yes.
Uh and not I mean a lot of them are ball and strike calls, but like the Bryce Harper you mentioned it the other day, the Bryce Harper check swing. There are safe and out plays that are like
Oof.
really, really
Yeah.
not close that he got
And
wrong.
he's been doing this since before replay.
Yeah. Yeah, since way before replay. It's I don't know.
I'm talking about throwing people out. I watched a video of him turn around and throw a guy out, and the guy looked at him and goes, "What? I didn't even say anything. I'm standing here." He was in the
Yeah.
dugout, and he goes, "Nope,
Oh,
you got to
no.
go. Nope, you got to go." And the guy who actually said it, sitting off to the side,
That
like,
happened twice this year in games.
yeah,
That not with Angel Hernandez, but somebody getting thrown out. Skip Schumacher.
that's the.
Um,
I thought it wasn't he
who's he
the
with?
Cardinals.
No, Marmol was with the Cardinals, and now I think he's not. Maybe now. Um, Skip Schumacher
I
was
don't know
with
who he's.
somebody else last year. And maybe he's not even. I don't know. I can't. Anyway,
Either way,
twice. One of them I think might have been the Yankees because I think Aaron Boone was involved in one of these. Um, but the umpire like says like here's some barking from the dugout or whatever. He's like, that's enough. I'm not going to hear it anymore. Goes back, Next pitch, he's like, "All right, you're out of here." And nobody in the dugout said anything. And or they were,
Yeah,
trying to hide it or whatever. But
yeah.
it was like they were saying like there's a fan right here that's yelling.
Whatever. Those guys, there's a different when you're on the field. I think there. I like to think there's a difference. You could tell.
Probably, probably.
Either way, I do like that
But
stuff. Those, yeah,
actually, there are fans closer to the
sure.
umpire than the dugout. So I
But
don't know.
where that's coming from, the
It has
angle,
to
the
be
type, yeah,
yeah. Um.
I don't know.
So anyway, that's happened a couple times this year that somebody got thrown out in the dugout,
Angel Hernandez,
and
they're like, what?
nobody said
Yeah,
anything. That's you. You got the
yeah.
guy up there.
I saw a video of Angel Hernandez threw a guy out. The kid, that you can read his lips. He told himself to F and swing the bat. And Angel Hernandez immediately, because it was strike three call, and it was a take, strike three looking, and the guy takes his bat and slams it down, turns around and goes, swing the effing bat, obviously talking to himself. And Angel Hernandez throws him out and he jumps around and goes, what? I said, swing the effing bat. I'm talking to myself. If I was talking to you, I wouldn't have said, swing the bat. You don't have a bat. And Angel Hernandez just shaking his head and said, you're out of here.
Isn't there a rule though about throwing your equipment? Like you can get automatically thrown out for that.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
So
I
maybe it
guess.
could have been that if he's throwing stuff.
That's not
But
why I threw him out. And people, when Angel Hernandez makes a call third strike, people are slamming their bats all the time. He doesn't, he'd have to throw an entire team out.
yeah.
Oh,
Um.
elephants upstairs.
So anyway, Angel Hernandez is gone now. You know, I'm kind of I kind of wish he would stick around, honestly, because that really brings a lot of fun to
Sure.
some of these. Now, look, I don't want him doing any Reds games.
No, I, here's the thing that sucks is, they, guys like him are the reason that people are pushing for strike zones and all that stuff so much. Let's get some of these really to get the guys that are bad out and keep new guys in. Look, here's the deal. I don't care if you've been doing it for 30 years and you've got a union and all this. If you're not good enough and you're too old or you can't see as well or you can't react as fast, then you shouldn't be doing it at that level. I mean, I get it. You did it at a high level for a long time. But when you all of a sudden can't, then you just can't.
I wonder if if they could do something like they have all the statistics now of, every all their calls.
Yeah.
The best guys at it, have them be the home plate umpires most of the time,
Mm-hmm.
and have the guys like Angel Hernandez and the guys who struggle with the strike zone a little bit more,
Be out in right field and
sure, or at the bases or whatever. Yeah, and there are guys who probably it is really amazing how many calls umpires actually get right, especially when you
especially in
see.
baseball when they
Yeah,
slow that stuff down and they're like, did his did the very edge of his sliding mitt touch the base before the glove touch? And they're like, he made the right call. And it's like, dude, like
you can't see that with regular eye.
that's bang bang as
Yeah.
bang bang gets, but they are trained to be looking for certain things, right? Like you're trained to look at certain things, and that's pretty cool.
But like especially at first base where most of the calls are in the field, it's there are going to be guys who are better at that than others. Same
Yep.
thing with that.
Yep.
Have those guys at second and third, and then maybe your what you make per game is a little bit more for home plate umpires,
Mhm.
the guys that are mostly doing that, and
But then if you never get an opportunity to prove yourself again,
y-
I don't think you pay him different.
maybe that's
I don't think you pay him different.
yeah, but it's so much harder to be a home plate umpire and be good at it. If I get to go out there, if I'm just bad at calling balls and strikes, and I make the same amount as that guy, and I get to be the third base umpire every game I do for the rest of my life, and I'm making the same amount of money, I'm just gonna act like I'm bad at it. It's so much easier. But anyway, I don't know. Maybe they could think about something like that. I'm sure they've considered something like that before. I don't know, but like you said, there's a union and there's a whole bunch of red tape to jump through. But um, I don't know. There's got to be something where you can have major league umpires who are there for a reason. They got there. You can't be bad and become a major league umpire.
No.
So they're there if they, especially if they, their talent decreases or whatever over the years, then change some things up. I don't know. I just or get them out
Or get him out.
or fire them.
I'm good either way.
All right. All right. This is moving slow. I don't know. I feel like I'm all over the place, but
Adam, we're always all over the place.
yeah. Um, golfers. Let's move on to golf. We've talked basketball. We've talked baseball.
Yeah.
Let's go on to golf.
All right. That sounds good.
We talked a little golf last week.
We did talk some golf last week. Adam, if I were to do a Mount Rushmore, I would say one of the Mount Rushmores of a sport we've never done is straight up Mount Rushmore of golfers.
Yeah, or we might have.
You think we have?
We might have.
Have we done this before? Did you start
No.
looking into it?
No.
No?
No, there's a chance we did not. But
Okay.
there's a chance we did.
Okay. All right. So let's do this. Adam, tell me, I'll start naming golfers.
Okay.
Let's just start naming old, new, greatest golfers all time, right? Ben Hogan, Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, Tiger Woods. Who else do you have in there? They're the greatest of all time. I mean, there's a personal fan of mine now is John Daly.
Of course. I wrote him down.
Of course. Scotty Scheffler is becoming amazing, but he's not, I'm not putting him up there yet. You got to do a little work.
Yep.
Phil Mickelson.
Sure.
And then you go back to guys that we used to love watching back in the day, right? Just the characters of golf, the Greg Normans, the Payne Stewarts, the Chichi Rodriguez.
I wrote Chichi Rodriguez down.
I was listening to our podcast last week and we were trying to figure out who Chichi Rodriguez is. Well, we said, I kept saying, who's the guy that does the little sword thing and sticks it in his thing? And I couldn't remember what his name was. That was Chichi Rodriguez. Yeah.
I didn't even.
That was Chichi Rodriguez.
He had
Lee Trevino.
Like a power bracelet. You remember that?
Yes.
Like a little thing you could buy at the drugstore.
Yep.
We had it at Walgreens for a little bit.
Lee Trevino.
Yeah. Yep. Sports Illustrated for Kids card.
Okay. I just remember I feel like Lee Trevino always had a hole in one.
Yeah.
I just feel like I've seen Lee Trevino hit like 17 hole in ones.
Good for you, Lee.
Yeah. A little short, fat guy. Who else? You got any more written down besides that?
You've mentioned them all except for two guys that I have written.
All right. Who do you have written down?
One guy I have is Jose Maria Olazabal.
Okay.
He has a Z in his last name that's pronounced like a TH.
Okay.
And he has a lady's middle name.
Okay.
That's Maria.
I don't know anything about this guy. Where'd you find him?
His name in English? Oh, I think he won some majors
okay.
I remember hearing his name a bunch in, probably late 90s. Just for his name, really. Just for his funny name.
Okay.
And the other one I put down there is Happy Gilmore. Now, Happy Gilmore.
What about Annika Sorenstam?
Annika Sorenstam, I thought about her too. I for a long time I heard that she was the best female golfer. And the only thing is I probably saw her golf, 2 or 3 holes in my whole life on TV.
I remember watching Annika Soren. I remember we grew up in Sports Center days. Like that and Annika Sorenstam was the best there was at that time. Like I feel like I watched a lot of Annika Sorenstam just from ESPN.
Because she won all the time.
Yeah, or she was winning, or if they were putting highlights up, it was always of her.
I don't remember anything like exciting or specific about her, except that she was really good and won a lot. Yeah. And Happy Gilmore doesn't really belong on this list only because he's a hockey player.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And how good did he end up, right? I mean, we all know about that one good year he had, but it's
Yep.
not about just having a good year of golf. You to be on the Mount Rushmore, you have to have a career.
Look,
We will find out though how his career went
yeah, we
because
sure
there
will.
will be a Happy Gilmore too.
That's right. That's right. And by this time his grandma, I'm sure, has passed. And so I don't know what that's gonna be like. But he did save her house,
He did save her house.
So maybe
Somebody is
he's
getting text messages like crazy.
yeah. I don't think it's
No,
not
it's
me.
my wife's computer's over there, the
Uh,
MacBook, so it's connected to the old iFizzy
gotcha. Does that make you nervous that she might be getting texts from you
at
know,
11:30 at night.
well,
Not even a
if
little
it's a,
bit.
if it's a gentleman, are you worried about that at all?
No,
Okay, good.
not even a little bit. Enjoy. Good luck.
um, yeah, I mean, we gotta narrow. We said all the names. We got to narrow it down to four for each of us. You got a four?
Yeah, I think I do.
Now, are you doing yours best golfers or favorite golfers?
I'm going just I'm just going in my brain when I think Mount Rushmore of golfers. That's what I'm going with. I don't know if they're the best. I assume they're probably going to be, but I'm not throwing John Daly up there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to throw John Daly. I'm not putting a Payne Stewart up there. Greatest outfit though. Uh, it's of our time. I'm not putting up was it David Duval? Was that his
David
name?
Duval was there. Yeah.
He was really good.
VJ Singh.
VJ Singh. Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Not doing any of that. So I am going to go with number one. I'm going to go with Ben Hogan.
Yep.
I don't know any records. I don't know anything. I just know Ben Hogan was the man.
Mhm.
And then you got to go Jack Nicklaus because he broke all Ben Hogan's records. And then you got to go Tiger Woods because Tiger Woods was the next closest one to Jack. And that is my guy. Like, if it were me, I'd have two Tiger Woods on
Yeah.
there. So for a fourth, you've got I I gotta go Arnie. I gotta go Arnold Palmer. I
Mhm.
don't think there's another. I think that's just it. I don't know if there are any others that should be on there.
Yeah. Um, I matched three of yours.
Okay.
All right.
Were they the first three?
No,
Took Ben Hogan off, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah. Ben Hogan's probably the greatest golfer to ever live. He's the one that like made golf what it is.
We didn't mention Bobby Jones, and I don't
Oh,
know a
Bobby
lot about
Jones,
Bobby
another.
Jones, but
Yeah.
he's
Yep.
on all the lists.
Yep. Bobby Jones, Ben Hogan, Jack Nicklaus, almost every great golf course you've ever seen
Hmm.
has their name on it because after you're the greatest golfer of all time, you just go create golf courses.
Right. Yep. Um, so I got Tiger, I have Jack Nicklaus, and I have Arnold Palmer. And Arnold Palmer, as much as anything, is because he has a delicious drink, and I enjoy an Arnold Palmer from time to
I
time.
love lemonade and iced tea.
Yeah, it's really good. It's a really you almost have to get the specific Arnold Palmer that Arizona sells, because if you go, and I get them all the time at different restaurants and
Yeah.
stuff,
Just
it's
say,
a crapshoot.
oh yeah,
I mean,
half a
they're
cup. Yeah,
making
they're
it
making,
themselves.
yeah, yeah.
And sometimes you get
If
a
you get too much tea,
see, for me, if I get too much lemonade, I'm like,
oh really? See, I
yeah.
feel like if I'm too much tea, unless it's sweet tea. If they
Mhm.
make it with sweet tea and lemonade, you can do whatever you want. You can give me lemonade with a splash of sweet tea, or you can give me sweet tea with a splash of lemonade, or you can mix it however you want. I'm drinking it.
Yeah, I'll usually, because a lot of times they'll say, "Do you want it sweet tea or unsweet?" And I'll get unsweet because the lemonade's gonna have tons of sugar in it, right?
Yep.
So it's gonna be sweet no matter what. But yes, if you have lemonade and sweet tea, woo boy,
Oh yeah.
you're on
I got
cloud.
fuzzy slippers for teeth.
Okay, all right, Bill Walton. Um,
Oh, that's so good.
I've got those three guys, and then I mean,
Do you
it's
not know what to do with the last
I
one though?
don't know what to do with the last one because I kind of want to just make it one of the funny ones. Um, and I feel like I don't know, Lee Trevino keeps standing out to me because he was like one of the first golfers I knew about.
Sure,
And
dude. Put your Lee Trevino Sports Illustrated for Kids
that's
card.
why.
Put it on there.
That's
Do it.
why.
It's yours.
All right, Lee Trevino. I've got that card somewhere. I've got the card somewhere, and it'd be fun. One of these days, I'll be going through whatever box that's in, and or binder, and I will find that.
Take a picture and
I'll
send
take
it
a
to me.
picture and send it to you.
Please do.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of old timers,
Here we go.
Colin
I'm
Quinn.
very interested. Okay. I went first with the last one. It's you
Okay.
you get to go first with Colin Quinn.
Okay. The special's called "Our Time Is Up." Our Time Is Up
Hour.
on YouTube. And this was what I found most interesting right away was this was at a corporate gig. I've never seen that before in my life. Comedians talk all the time about how awful corporate gigs are because they're not a comedy audience. It's some company that paid a guy to come in.
The
And
neuro
these are therapists.
therapists.
Yeah. It's yes, psychotherapy.
Symposium.
Yes, psychotherapy.
It was symposium.
Yes, the third word was what do you call it when you go somewhere just to mingle professionally with people?
Yeah.
Um,
Happy hour.
no, it's
That's what I call
oh man, it's a they do these events all the
it.
time.
I know what you're talking about.
Anyway, so it was like this big thing for therapists, basically. Very interesting, and he even addressed that
He
right
bombed.
away.
I mean, I would call this a bomb. Can I?
Would you?
I don't know if I'd say bomb. He had quite a few jokes that bombed. I don't think he bombed. I think they truly loved it because it was a lot about their stuff. But I don't think he like killed that audience at all.
Well, that's the thing. That's why it's really impressive that he would do a special
Yeah.
at a thing like that because it's not a comedy audience. It's they didn't go there to they didn't pay to see a comedian there, you know.
They're interviewing people before and after,
Yeah.
and twice somebody said, "I don't even know who this guy was until today."
Some young girl was like, "Well, I've never heard of him before," but
And the one girl goes, his epitaph would be, "I'm more than just from Saturday Night Live."
yeah. Um, so I mean, that's fascinating to me that he would do a special at a corporate event like that. So,
Did you give him points for that?
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't, but I feel like I should because for some of the things that he didn't get laughs or big laughs for, that's kind of part of why. But he also is almost like I don't want to say almost like Joe Biden-esque with he'll and maybe I mean I do it, I think. He'll start a he'll start a sentence and he'll where you're going to this, and then look when you get
That's so
start and
hard to
stop.
That's so hard to listen to.
Yeah.
It's so hard to listen to. But he's
does that
been
a
like
lot.
that forever.
And listen, you're watching this, you're listening to this podcast. I understand that's exactly what I do all the time. So I get the irony of that. But
Yeah, but he's
this
a
is
professional
he's a
comedian.
professional comedian. That yeah,
We pay to do this podcast.
that's right. He got so much money to do that. Um, that was hard to watch whenever that would happen.
Half.
Some of it,
No.
there was a good bit of it.
I digress. No, what did he kept say? Not I digress. He said a couple times. I'll get back to that or
Something like that. Yeah. But I laughed out loud 4 or 5 times.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There were some jokes that I thought were really funny. I started writing stuff down. I didn't really for the whole thing, but some of the HR stuff, some of the he talked a lot about social media, and he started talking about. Now, this was before OJ died that he recorded this, I guess. So he was talking about OJ being on social media.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, he's like trying to be 1991 OJ before he got crazy or whatever. The one everybody liked. He's like, "Hey, everybody, I hope you're having a great day. I'm just out here on the golf course doing something I love. I hope you're doing something you love." and how weird that was. And then he follows some other, I don't know, dictator from another country that's an awful guy or something
Yeah.
like that. For the same reason, you go on your phone 96 times a day. He had a couple little things with that. You don't, if you check your newborn, you don't check your newborn baby 96 times a day. If you did
He'll
that,
take her away from you.
yeah. And then something else, some other joke similar to that. And then some of the stuff about the influencers he was talking about that was kind of funny.
I mean, I like all that stuff. I loved all those jokes.
Yeah.
They just
It was
he
hard to understand
he
at the time.
struggles to get. I don't know what he was talking about half the time.
Yeah. And he was jumping around a lot. I talked about us jumping around. He was jumping
I don't
around a lot.
I don't know if he didn't take his medication or if he took too much cocaine. I can't figure out which one it was.
Yeah. Uh yeah, it seemed like he could use a little assistance uh straightening that stuff out.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was there were some jokes that were good enough that I was like, okay, I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of that other stuff was like, and I do maybe I do give him a little bit of maybe I do bump his score up just a tiny bit for not not doing this set to a comedy audience.
Sure.
Gave him a 3.4.
I gave him a 2.7. I
2.7.
struggled to even follow what he was talking about.
It
1 second he's talking about influencers, the next second he's talking like he's on Game of Thrones.
yeah. Yeah. um shoot, I just had some. Now I'm doing it. I lost it. I lost it. But anyway,
She gone.
it was really interesting.
It was interesting. Is correct. Interesting is correct.
I wonder if he has how many more he has in him, how many more specials he's got in him.
Can't be a lot.
He's in his early 60s, I think.
Yeah, one more big one. Maybe you make a cool mill off of that. I mean, he probably still lives in LA or New York. I don't know.
He's in New York, I think. Yeah.
I'm sure he gets some a little bit of something from reruns of Saturday Night Live and stuff like that. So
Maybe.
um I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know, man. I don't know. What was his he had a show on Comedy Central too,
Tough
didn't he?
crowd.
Tough Crowd. We talked about that last
Yeah.
week. Yeah. Because Greg Giraldo was the star of that show.
Yeah.
Um
Patrice, yeah.
so let's get into next week.
Okay.
All right. You have Mount Rushmore.
Mhm.
I have comedy.
Yeah.
Adam, I want to talk to you about comedy real quick.
Please do.
So after we watched this, a little thing popped up for a guy that I've talked about on this podcast many times. I've never seen a full comedy special of him.
Okay.
And I went on to try to do it, but it was behind a paywall.
Oh.
So you could see him, but you had to pay to see any of his specials. A fella who's been to prison and 99%, probably maybe 97%, now, of his comedy is about when he was in jail or the time he was in jail.
Mhm.
A fellow by the name of Ali Sadiq.
Oh, yeah.
So pops up on YouTube, and I know that I've been on here before, and I could not watch anything without paying for it.
Yeah.
All of his comedy is available on YouTube right now.
Okay. Is this like a
Yeah,
three
there's a
part
three-part deal, right? And one just came out. I believe it just came onto YouTube a couple weeks ago. It's part 3, and part 4 comes out in June.
Okay.
So I wanted to talk to you about how you wanted to do this because I love, like when I had Sirius XM radio,
Mhm.
whenever he came on, was some of the funniest jokes you've ever heard in your entire life.
He's been making the round because of this. He's been making the rounds on the podcasts. He was on.
Well, if anybody would know, it'd be
He was on Dan Soder's.
he's on
last
Dan.
week.
He was on all 4 Dan Soders. He was on all 3 of Mark Norman's. He was on both of yeah. I'm sure.
Mark Norman's. He was on the bonfire last week with
Okay.
Jay Oakerson
Okay.
and Robert Kelly. Anyway, so yes, he's out there promoting his special or the next part of this
Right.
series. Um,
So I want to figure out what to do here because so it's called the domino effect.
yeah.
Okay. So he's got the domino effect, which was apparently came out 2 years ago. Then he's got the domino effect 2, which was about a year ago. Domino effect 3, which was 2 weeks ago. And it says here, where's it at? Where it says domino effect 4. I think it's in June sometime that it's supposed to come out.
Can you see how long these videos are? Each one of those?
Yeah. Yeah. So the domino effect, the first one's hour and 20.
Ooh.
The second one's an hour 30. The third one's an hour 15.
So I haven't seen any of these yet, but I Dan Soder and he were talking like it's almost like a one-man show. I
So
don't
he like
know.
sits down. He's doing comedy. I watched like 5 minutes of it,
Okay.
but he's sitting down, right? And he's kind of stands up, he moves around, he tells the joke, and he's moving around and stuff.
More like a storytelling
It's
session
all
that's
about yes.
funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm fine if we don't do it and we just go back and do an old. Oh, here it is. Part 4 premieres June 16th.
Okay.
Oh, I don't even know. Can we do any? See, now you can't do any old specials. He on his YouTube, it's a whole bunch of 5, 8, 7, 12, 13 minute clips of the best stuff he's ever done.
Okay.
So,
I'm up for whatever. We can watch the newest one. Um,
or do we go back
3.
to the original one?
We could do
No.
that.
Well, because if it sucks, then we're not going to do any of these.
Well,
And it's an hour and 20 minutes. Are you in?
I'm in if you're in. Yeah.
Oh, I'm 100% in.
Yep.
So are we doing the latest one or the first one?
That's your call.
Let's do the first one.
Okay.
The domino effect. I think it's like 2 years old. At least that's when it says it came onto YouTube. It's just called the domino effect.
Yep. Part 1. All right. Good.
And now I have 4 straight comedies.
Huh?
I now have 4 straight comedies. That's how I just worked that in. I just did that. So
Why do
in
you?
2 weeks, I can do
Oh.
Domino Effect 2.
Okay. I see.
And
I
I
see.
got
I see.
Domino Effect 3. And by
I
the
see.
time we get there,
Oh,
we'll be
you
at June 16th and
you
I can
already have
go
those picks.
Domino Effect 4.
I
So
see. I'm slow tonight, man. All right.
you had to play like some of the greatest high school athletes of the last 5 years, 7 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Had a tough 3-game series tonight on the court.
How many points did you have in 3 games?
I I barely score anymore, man. I might have hit. I didn't have any layups. Couldn't get to the rim. Um, I might have hit like 3 threes in 3 games.
Nice.
That's
Okay.
it.
3-on-3 league.
3-on-3 league.
How much time do you play? Do you come out?
Yeah, I come out. I mean, we're especially now we try to make sure we have 4. Um, and yeah, I'm coming out. I'm dead. I mean, by the sometime in the second game, I'm pretty much done, and I gotta sit for a few minutes, and then I come out, and then whenever somebody's ready to come out, then they just tell me, and I go in. But I've sat more this year than I ever have,
Really?
I would say so far.
Good.
Yeah. Um, It's taken me a little while to work my way back,
In this
get
basketball
get
shape?
the lungs back. Yeah.
Yep. It
Um,
ain't easy, bud.
but I mean, we're all in the same boat on my team.
But I'm gonna tell you, I know a couple of the dudes on your team and their lungs that's just not gonna come back. They or at least this season. They could play the entire season and they ain't coming. They ain't coming. They might be better than you because they just ain't moving as much. They might play longer because they just don't move as much.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's not a whole lot of cutting anymore. For many
Uh-huh.
of us.
Whole lot of
There's
hanging out 3-point
there's
line, dump it down to the big guy.
it's pick and pops constantly,
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
Um, yeah, a lot of ball screens. It's just ball screens the entire time, pretty much.
I mean, it's 3-on-3. There's not a lot of back screen. There's not a lot. Yeah, you
It's
go set a back screen, and guess what? You're the only other person out there. So
You're either screening for
everybody
the
knows what's
ball.
going on.
Yeah, you're either screening for the ball or you're passing the ball and going and screening the other guy. Um, so anyway, um, okay, I've got a Mount Rushmore to pick, and you were really good about giving me a lot of time here.
Sorry.
No, I'm saying thank you for that because I needed it because obviously I didn't have anything. Um, and that jogs my memory about what do I want to do about basketball?
Yeah.
What involving basketball? What do I
Bill
want to do?
Walton,
Yeah, that could be
Angel
Bill Walton
Hernandez.
stories. Yeah.
We just recently have done referee umpire stuff with the whole Joe West deal. So yeah, it could be
Yeah.
take some things away from you, bud.
Angel Hernandez's four worst calls. Now, uh man, I want to say the Mount Rushmore of, I always try to think of some way to enter comedy into it too. But it's so hard to, like, you can't just do comedians, you can't just do specials. I'm sure we've done all that. I'll tell you what I want to
I can't wait.
do. I want to pick a comedian
Okay.
and come up and do the Mount Rushmore of their jokes. So I got to pick a comedian that we both know well,
Okay.
and let's see. I'm gonna say,
Thank God for YouTube.
who was the
They
Mount?
put all those little 3-minute clips up all
Yeah,
the time.
yeah. How? Do you remember who your Mount Rushmore of comedy was?
Not off the top of my head.
Or what about like you have
Dude,
like,
but you don't need mine. I can look up anybody. I know everybody.
I know, but
Just do
just
somebody
to
that
make
we've
it
watched.
easiest on
Don't
us.
don't do like
Mhm.
like Bud Ray who does the peeing off the balcony podcast that I don't know. Like do a guy that we've done before, right? Tell me that that's not a great name for a podcast.
It's a great name
Peeing off the balcony.
for a comedian and a podcast. Yes. Bud Ray.
Was that his
The
name?
Mount
I don't
Rushmore.
remember what I said his name was.
He said Bud Ray.
There you go.
Uh,
If Bud Ray had a special, it would be called peeing off the balcony.
yeah,
Oh,
that's a great name for a special.
it is.
That reminds me of a story that I'm going to tell you when we get finished here. Uh, the Mount Rushmore of, let's say, Mitch Hedberg jokes.
Wow. Oh my God. There's 4 billion of them.
Yeah.
He did 400 per special. So
Yeah.
I like it. Mitch
Okay.
Hedberg jokes. That's great. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got to drive to Lima tomorrow. I guess I'm hitting up the greatest hits of Mitch Hedberg. Mitch Hedberg.
Yep. Oh God, you're gonna have a great time if you do that.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Mitch Hedberg jokes, and we've got Ali Sadiq, the Domino Effect, the first episode of that. What else do we have? Anything? That's it.
We'll have some more basketball
We'll have NBA Finals talk next week for sure.
for sure. Yeah, but I mean, at this point in time, Boston Celtics are already at like gonna have like 9 days rest.
Mm-hmm.
So if this keeps going, they're gonna end up with like 2.5, 3 weeks of rest. And I don't know if that's good or bad.
That's always the debate, right? Right. We see it in baseball sometimes. The team gets finished with a series early, gets a sweep, and the other series goes 7 games, and they're sitting there waiting. And it's like
I
you got to play enough. You can't take too long a break because
Yeah,
you get rusty. You got to keep the
just from experience with baseball tournaments in a day, just a day, right? Bracket plays on a Sunday or pool plays on Saturday, whatever. If you bracket play and you play at 8 a.m. and your next, like our first game was at 8 a.m. at Delhi Park. Our second game, if we won, was at 2 o'clock p.m. So you get done at 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. It's 4 hour break in between games.
Yeah.
That's terrible. Now we were fine. One game break, just a 2 hour break, sucks. I would 100% rather get done playing and just move right into the next game. And I know that's a smaller time frame, but it's the same thing, right? Like you've been playing, you're in these game situations, you're every 2 days, you're in a routine, you're doing these things. And then all of a sudden you get some rest and it's like, okay, nice. I'm cool, I'm rested, I'm relaxed. But now I can't get back. I can't quite get back up where the other team never came down.
Yeah. Yep.
I think I'd rather play right away.
Yeah. At the end of an NBA season, you have so many guys that are, have stuff that they're playing through, and it's
But even still there, like if they chill for a little while, dude, their body's not used to that. It's going to be harder to rev it back up, especially if they're tight, if they've got soreness, anything like that. If I'm sore, I want to keep going. I don't know, right? Like if I take a break and then try to get back into it, I feel like I might be more sore.
yeah, if you're sore from playing, just the banging and putting your body through it. I think that's one thing though. If you have I'm kind of talking about, you have an ankle that's bothering you, you have a shoulder that's bothering you,
Gives it
whatever.
time to actually heal.
Hmm.
Sure. No,
Yeah,
yeah, I get
yeah.
that. Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to kind of keep at least doing the
Yeah,
motions.
they still got to keep playing.
I'm sure they're in there shooting every day and stuff like that. But then, playing a full game is different than just getting a workout in or whatever. So, yep, that's always the big question. So we'll see what happens with that, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it next week. And we'll have Mount Rushmore and comedy.
I love it.
That's all I can think of.
Till next week, don't forget to turn your headlights on.